Like, where's Jesus when my mom has stage 4 cancer? Where was Jesus last year with all this COVID stuff? And some of you are like, well, Pastor Scott, I just feel like Jesus ain't really close. I feel like he's really far away. I'm gonna just use this illustration. Maybe this will help you understand it. It reminds me of the story of this old couple. For 20 years, they lived in a farm town. They would go in town to the store, and some of you young folks may not know this, but back in the day, like farm trucks used to have old trucks had like just one seat. It was called a bench seat. And so like they would just sit there, and they would all sit there on the same seat. You could put 3 people in the same seat. She said they would go to town, and she would sit all up underneath him, and they would just cuddle all the way to town. And again, one day they were riding, and she just looked over, and she said, babe, what happened to us? We seem so distant. I remember we used to always cuddle all the way to town. And now I'm over here, I'm just at the window, I'm looking out, and I just got a question, like, why are we so distant? And he looks at her and he said, babe, he said, I haven't moved. I always drive. So some of you are wondering where Jesus is. And why doesn't he feel close? And he sent me here to remind you that he doesn't move. He's right there, but he needs you to make the decision that you're gonna do what? That you're gonna stay close to Jesus. And the second thing, if you're taking notes, is this. You gotta be willing to stay connected. Everybody say stay connected. Verse 39. Then Jesus directed them to have all the people sit down in what? Sit down in groups on the green grass. So they sat down in groups of hundreds and fifties. Taking the 5 loaves and 2 fish and looking up to heaven, he gave thanks and broke the loaves. Then he gave them to his disciples to distribute to all the people. He also divided the fish among them all. I think it's important as we look at it is that when I'm looking at this text, I'm looking at it last night, he says he did what? He set them down in groups. He says, and what did he do? He set them to sit down in groups. He broke up in groups. He set them in groups in the green grass. Then he did what? He looked up to the heavens. And it's amazing. Some of the greatest blessings and miracles, they happen in groups. That's why it's important that you get in a group and that you stay connected in biblical community. And here's what I also look at is that some of the greatest miracles and blessings, they happen through a group. Like Jesus could have just blessed the whole group. You guys are all blessed. But what did he do? He said, no, I want everybody to sit down. We need to get some order and structure here. I mean, what you gotta understand, like some of the greatest blessings, they're not to come to you, but they're to go through you, to go to somebody else. I mean, look at some of the greatest blessings happening. Like some of you guys, you're a result of that amazing blessing that went through your parents and it's going to you. When I look at my sons and I look at what my mom set up for me, like at the end of the day, I was the first one in our family to graduate from college. And as I look with our sons and all the success they're having in dental school and college football, the thing was, the blessing was to go through me to my boys. And maybe guys, you're wondering, like, how can God use you? You have an amazing story. That stuff that you went through, it's not in vain. It's supposed to go through you to somebody else. But you gotta be willing to get in a group. You gotta be willing to do what you need to do and do your part and watch how God blesses you. I'm telling you, so many people, like they're missing the opportunity for God to be able to use them because they're trying to stay in their comfortable, just wanna be comfortable. I just wanna do this, I just wanna be comfortable. But you gotta bring people in. That's why Andrew was so cool. Like Andrew, like, hey man, y'all come in here. Like Andrew would invite people all the time. He would invite people. I told you, he's the one that invited Peter to Jesus. And as a matter of fact, if you look at the name Andrew in the Greek, it literally means Andy Drew. So Andy Drew people, I'm just playing. Some of y'all really bought that. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to tell y'all, like pastors will say like, this is what it says in the Greek. A lot of times that's just pastors bloviating to try to act like they really smart. Like, you know what I'm saying? Most of the time it don't. Andy Drew, that's funny though. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like, wow, Andy Drew. My name's Andrew, man. I'm inviting people anyway. So like, but I think it's important that you got to bring your family, you got to bring your friends. So he invited people. And again, I wasn't there, but here's what I imagine happened. He invited them, they started getting in groups, and it never fails when you're in a group, like different people start to emerge and evolve. There's like the leader that involved, like, hey, what's up, man? That's what we're going to do. Like, got this. And it's like, somebody's going to be like the organizer. All right, guys, no, make sure you're in this row. Got to be in a straight line. We got to be in a straight line. And then there's the encourager. Yes, guys, we're excited to be in a group. This is my Bible. Like, we're just everybody ready to go. We're excited. We're just in the group. Let's just get going. Like, and then there's always like a negative Nancy. I don't know why we in this group anyway. I don't even like grass. I'm allergic to grass. Why are we sitting on the grass? You know what I'm saying? And then there's always a hater in the group as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just hate for no reason. Like, we don't want them in the group. They ain't even been vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? They ain't been vaccinated. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it takes all of those people in the group to make it go around. Like my group, I've been in a small group. There's one couple I've been in a small group with for over 16 years. As a matter of fact, I remember when we first had our first small group meeting, their daughter was in a stroller, and now she's in a stroller. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's driving, like, but we've had so many life experiences together, and the groups are important. And all of our locations, those online, I want you to be honest, because you can't lie in church. Just be honest. How many of you guys, like, you thought about it, but you haven't? But how many of you guys haven't actually got into a group? By show of hands, don't lie. Raise your hand. Go, raise them up. God knows, I'm telling you, raise them up. Okay. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to take your phones out right now. All y'all that raise your hand, those you online, take your phone out. No, I'm waiting on you. Yes, if you think I'm talking to you, yes, you. And what I want you to do, I want you to text connect to 81313. Go ahead and do it now. There's all types of groups. I mean, I went on Grace's website, and I texted it and went to the group. Man, there's so many different groups. Like, you got groups of people that just want to go fishing. You got groups that just love Bucks fans. You got Rays fans. You got people that like to hunt. You got people that are married. You got people that want to be in Financial Peace University. You got people that are single. Like, come on, I'm telling you, a single group, you ain't got to worry about swiping right. You can get in the right group. I'm just saying, like, just get in a group. Because you guys are kicking off a brand new group series in 2 weeks on the 22nd. And many of you guys, I'll come back a year from now. And some of you guys will have made the decision to get in a group. And others of you would still be sitting here in your comfort zone, doing what you've always done, because you don't want to get in a group. Because you don't want to step out and do this is what Jesus is saying. This is how he broke it. He's showing us how the miracles work. And some of you guys, you're not going to make that decision because you're comfortable. It kind of reminds me of that meme. You've seen it on social media. It's like the little girl, and she's got her little teddy bear, and she's sitting there with her teddy bear, and she's got her teddy bear, and then you got Jesus there, and he's got the bear behind his hand. And many of you guys, that's what you're like, no, but I want to be in my comfort zone. I want it just like I've always had it. And Jesus is trying to say, look, if you are willing to surrender your comfort zone, I have a bigger and better blessing for you. God can't bless what you're unwilling to surrender. You got to do your part. Yeah, you can clap for that because I'm preaching better than y'all responding, I'll tell you that. It's amazing what happens, but you got to be willing to do your part. Some of you guys, well, I don't know. I mean, I look back when you talk about staying connected. Like as I looked, I was in group, made these different decisions, and what you understand is that like it talks about. He says he did what he says. He took and he broke the loaves, right? So he took the loaves, so he was carrying the loaves, but Jesus said he took it and he broke it, right? He broke it, then he gave it to the heavens, and then he blessed it. He broke it, and then he blessed it. What you got to understand, if Jesus is the one that's doing the breaking, he will be the one that does the blessing. So some of you guys, what you got to understand is he's breaking that relationship, and he's going to bless your new relationship. He's breaking those negative thoughts, and he's going to bless you with some new thoughts. He's breaking that old situation, and he's blessing you with a new situation. If he's doing the breaking, he will do the blessing. Now, don't confuse that. He's not going to bless those silly and stupid decisions that you're making on your own. You keep doing stupid things, you will keep winning stupid prizes. But if you stay close to Jesus, you get connected to godly people, then what he will do is he will bless you. And that's what he reminded me to. Like, look, get in a group. You got to stay in community. You can't do this on your own. I know you've tried it. I know it seems rough, but it's amazing what God will do if you will just do that part. I'm just going to tell you guys, to be honest, like some of you guys, let's just keep it 100. You need to get off of Facebook and you need to get in his book. And this is when the band will come play behind me as I close. Wow, they all came out together. They was prepared today. So first point is what we're gonna stay what? It's 3 points, guys. So come on now, online, everybody, we're gonna stay close. We're gonna stay connected. And the last point, if you're taking notes, is stay satisfied. Everybody say satisfied. Y'all go ahead, just whenever y'all wanna start playing. Okay, all right, go ahead. Verse 42. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples picked up 12 basketfuls of broken pieces of the bread and fish. The number of men who had eaten was 5,000. You see, many of you, think about this, like, many of you can't focus on what you have because your eyes are always so distracted on what you don't have. The disciples said, hey, we ain't got enough food. Jesus looked at them like, yo, what do you got? Y'all go look. 5 and 2, okay. Like many of you, your food is getting cold because you're looking at what's on everybody else's plate. And Jesus telling like, you got more than enough. You got to quit worrying about what they're doing. Comparison will rob you of the joy of Jesus trying to remind you that you got everything that you need. You plus Jesus is more than enough. And many of you guys are like, well, I just don't know if I got what it takes and whatever. But it says they ate and they were satisfied. It didn't say that they were settling. It said that they were satisfied. And I think this is important. As I look at this text, it says again, they had broken pieces of bread. It says it ate and they were satisfied. And here's what I think is the most missed part of this story. I told you before that the 5,000 men that he fed, that number doesn't include women and children because the women and children weren't counted. Isn't it ironic? Come on now, wait for it. That the person that Jesus used for this blessing and the miracle is the one that wasn't even counted. He used the little boy who had the fish and the loaves, and that's the one that he used to do the miracle. I mean, some of you guys may think that you're insufficient. You may think that you don't have what it takes, but God wanted me to remind you, but what you have is more than enough. If Jesus is doing the breaking, he will do the blessing. You feel like you got insufficient funds, I'm telling you, he's the greatest overdraft protection that you could ever have. You got to just keep being satisfied to know that Jesus has got you. But what he's saying, are you willing to give what you have? You wonder why you're not being blessed? Giving that 50% effort? 50% of your relationship? Because here's what I know. There's a lot of other people that day that packed their lunch as well. But the only person that was willing to say, yo, Jesus, I know there's a lot of people out here. I ain't got much, but I'm willing to give you what I have. And God wanted me to tell you that you may not feel like you have much, but give what you have and watch how I bless it. Because we serve an amazing God that wanted me just to come here and tell you, young lady, sir, ma'am, couple, you have more than enough, but I need you to give what you have.